Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to the Midnight Paint and Body YouTube channel. On this video, we're going to do a tune-up and possibly rebuild the carburetor on the 78 Trans Am revival car. If we don't get it running, we're going to lose the whole shop. All right, everyone. If this is your first time joining me on this project, there's a really quick recap. So this is a 78 Trans Am 404 speed. It is a real Trans Am off the VIN, 2W code. So in the last couple of videos, I've had it running. We got it running off of its own fuel tank. We got a couple little burnouts out of it. Last video I did a real quick SOS pad cleanup on the paint. Yeah, don't panic. The paint is junk. But that's okay, I'm kind of digging the patina. And if you're not familiar with my past videos or with my shop, this is Midnight Paint and Body. This is my business. This is where I make my living. Yes, this vast empire. It's all mine. So, typically, of course, I make my living making people's cars nice. So, this is a complete paint job. I'm just finishing up. Just need some final wash and clean up. You might have seen the past videos on the 70 Charger. It's been kind of a long-term project. This is my 69 Firebird, also a 404 speed. So I'm just showing you that because, guys, some guys would like to see this car restored. I would like to see this car restored. But I work my butt off making cars shiny all day, every day. I really don't have the time, or let's be honest, the money to restore this car. Maybe one day. Maybe when I retire at 85. But I do really want to drive it. So my goal, came back to this side. This is a good side of the car. My goal is to make this car run and drive and stop and be reliable and look cool, and most importantly, do big burnouts on a budget. So, another disclaimer. I'm not a mechanic. I'm a body man. I'm a car guy, so I know basic stuff. That's it. So don't rely on me for mechanical prowess. So what we're gonna do in this video is hopefully start installing these parts. So this might not look like much, but for a guy like me, that's a pretty substantial investment in a junker car right there. So I've got a carb kit and filter, plugs, cap, rotor, new hoses, new belts, stuff to kind of make it reliable. I just realized this morning, I bought everything. I forgot to buy an oil filter. But I did get the, my favorite oil, the cheapest kind. And yes, we got some zinc additive to put in it. But I will have to pick up a filter. So the plan is to hopefully get it running good, and then we'll move on to the brakes, which I have diagnosed why it has no brakes. It does have a blown out brake line right under the floor. I'll show you guys that another time. But I fully expect we're going to need to do a master cylinder and wheel cylinders and possibly calipers and everything else, but that'll be later. So anyway, let's get started with some basic tune-up. So I figured we'd start with the easy stuff. Let's get the spark plugs out. I went ahead and just put a piece of tape and numbered the wires. Pontiac engine, same as small block Chevy, 1843657 firing order, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. But that just makes it easier for putting it back together, because I don't want to figure out the firing order. And it appears to be correct, because the motor actually runs pretty decent. Let's see what these spark plugs tell us. And I didn't buy wires. I didn't notice it looks like this is a new set of wires. The guy I bought the car from did say he had it running 2 years ago, so I suspect he put new plug wires on, because they look pretty darn good, so why replace them? Other than, you know, to get yellow ones, which are cool. Well, plugs don't look bad, actually. A little sooty, but I mean, I've had it running, but not real well. So, I don't know, have a look. Tell me what you think. Definitely not the worst I've ever seen. So, I'm going to go ahead and just pull them all out of this side, and then we'll gap up the new ones and shove them in there. Yeah, sooty, but not terrible. It tells me this motor's in okay shape, I guess. Like I said before, or if you watched past videos, it seemed to run well. It didn't have any noise. It didn't have any lifter noise. No valve train noise. Actually sounded really good. And I did find out with some research. I didn't tell you guys this before, but this car was last insured in 1991. So, that is 31 years off the road. Come on. Yeah. You know, when you drop a tool, it always goes to the very center, the farthest away from the car. So far, so good. Plugs look all right. I'm going to check the gap on these plugs before we toss them in there. My extensive research on the Googles told me that, around 35. Which I think is pretty standard. Oh, well, let's see. Use my gapping tool here. Oh. Perfection. I like to use feeler gauge. You can get these little gapping tools too. You guys probably all know this, but there's all the numbers are on there. I like to use the old school feeler gauge. 17 and 18 makes 35. Ooh, yeah, these are, my iChrometer says these are gapped at like 45, or a couple of them. All right, gapped at 35 thou. Let's put them in. So I'm going to show you guys a little trick that an old mechanic friend of mine from many years ago, local guys to Quesnel will remember Bob Wilson. He was a stock car racer, mechanic, great guy, knew him a long time. He taught me this with a piece of rubber hose. Now, this might seem odd. I put a piece of tape on there. There's 4 spark plugs. This has been my toolbox for many years. And I did that just so I didn't take the hose and cut it up for something else. Now, it's not really necessary here, but Bob showed me. You put your spark plug on the hose. You know, this one's accessible. You don't have to do it here, but if you use that to start your plug, I don't know if you can see in there. There's no way of cross-threading it because you don't have enough tension, I guess you'd say, on the hose to the spark plug to actually cross-thread the plug. So if it's not going in right, it's just not going to go in. But you can see I got that one started nicely. That works obviously more for places where it's hard to reach. You know, I didn't have to do it there. I just did it for a demonstration. But neat little tech tip for you guys. R.I.P. Bob. He's been gone a long time. So I'm going to torque these to not much. And something else to watch for, maybe I should have pointed out. So these are a tapered seat spark plug in the Pontiac, and yeah, this era Pontiacs anyway. You know, a lot of spark plugs have that like a crush washer that they seat on. So, you know, always just make sure you're putting the right thing back in. Put those wrong plugs in one of these engines, they're not going to seal proper. You're going to have all kinds of problems. Okay, I'm going to repeat that process on the other side, and we will come back for a look. So I decided, just for the ease of getting to the plugs on this side, I'm just going to do a quick heater hose delete here, because I've got new hose for it. I do have an EPA approved container on the floor there. From what I can see, the antifreeze actually looks pretty good. It's not all rust anyway. And I do have this sweet inline engine heater, block heater dealio on here, so I'm going to put that on eBay later, starting at $199.99 with $168 shipping. And we've got this block heater retainer cable, which I'm pretty sure that's factory. So I better save that for the restoration. More antifreeze coming out of the top than I expected. All right, plugs are in. Let's move on to the cap and rotor. Oh, hey, it's that convenient. Not a big hole in the hood. Yeah, there's a fair bit of corrosion on the terminals in there. You know, in hindsight, I probably should have bought an ignition module for in the distributor, because it'll quit working. So once you get into these things, your mechanical advance weights, again, no expert, but you know, they're free. As distributor spins, I guess it's centrifugal force, pushes these guys out, advances your timing. So you always want to make sure those are free. I'll probably lube those up a little bit, a little squirt of WD. I know that you can get different weight springs and so on to fine-tune these things, but I'm definitely not that smart with that stuff. Oh yeah, there's a vacuum hose hanging around down there, which goes down to, yep, it goes down there to the thing. I have no idea what that's for. So swapping this stuff over is pretty simple. In this case, the plug wires actually stayed in that cap, so they're going to go back on to the new distributor cap in exactly the same order. I usually just do them one at a time, so I know I'm not screwing up firing order. Just got to change over the coil. So I'm just going to put a tiny bit of dielectric grease on these connections before I slip everything back in. Oh, look at that. I installed it back in the old one. Good job. So, a couple things to remember on all of this, of course. Not a mechanic, on a budget. And as I'm doing this here, maybe a good time to throw it out there for you guys. You there. Yep, you. If you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, go ahead and do that. You know, we always hear YouTube guys begging for the subscriptions, but it turns out, I guess with the way YouTube analytics work, the more subscriptions and comments you get on your video, the more your video gets put out there for people to see. So, do me a favor, if you like the videos, subscribe and share. Share to your, I don't know, social media, FaceTube, the InstaChat stuff. Don't get me wrong, I know I'm never going to be wealthy from YouTube, but I'm just a working stiff like everyone else, so hey, if I can get a little sponsorship here and there, or advertising, or something, I don't know. Maybe I can make better videos. I could buy more cars. Yeah, you can see by, yeah, these terminals are all pretty grungy. Ooh, look at that one's even loose. Yeah, pretty scored up. This is a pretty old cap. And as you can see, the way I took this off, it's going back on exactly the same way. Latched in there. So I'm just going to toss this new rotor on there, and we'll put the cap back on. Except that it causes cancer and reproductive harm. So that's not good. Not that I plan on reproducing, but definitely don't want cancer. So I threw the ignition rotor distributor cap back on. I lubed up those advance weights. And yeah, figured since we're in here, we're going to replace these hoses. So I had bought some heater hose and I bought upper and lower radiator hoses. But it appears these are not correct. I know they're not correct anyway, these flexi hoses. But these are definitely not the correct diameter to go into that water pump. So for now, we'll just do the heater hoses. Oh, come on now. Yep, that one definitely went right to the middle. You know the way that one was coated to the firewall with the old insulation stuff? I'd almost say that lower heater hose is from 1978. Whew. So we need to reuse this pressure release valve. Just gonna make up a new hose here before we put it back on. Yes, we're gonna reuse the hose clamps because, you know, budget, stainless. So we want the first one to be, yep, that long. And we want the other one to be, yep, definitely exactly that long. Not going to tighten these up yet in case we need to move things around a little bit. Move back over here because I know this is pretty exciting stuff. You don't want to miss any. Now, let's get these guys on. Number 8. So with number 6. So that's why I number the wires. Just makes it a whole lot easier. There. Contact. Okay. Another heater hose. Yeah, should it go over or under? Let's go over. I hope that cameras are working. Just fell right in the bucket of antifreeze. Oh man, it's falling apart. This is just a used GoPro I bought and a chow mein accessory pack I got off Amazon. Oh wait a minute, does that take a bigger hose on top? Son of well now, this is 5/8. So I guess the upper hose must be 11/16. That's okay. I'll keep that in stock. We need an oil filter anyway. Maybe I'll take a run into the old auto parts store, pick up an oil filter, some more heater hose, and I'm thinking a lower radiator hose. Okay, I'll be back. So a couple things that are really necessary for a trip to the auto parts store. Of course, are a good, reliable shop truck and a good, reliable sidekick, of which I have both right here.
Everything is not enough. Feeling out by the ocean, and all of those white hot sands, where every sunrise is just for you. So come along and take my hand.
Right, we are back. My parts store was out of 11/16 heater hose though, so we'll have to see what we can make work for the time being. I just didn't feel like driving all the way into town. So I jumped ahead on you guys a little bit here, but it's not very exciting stuff. So I've got the lower radiator hose on, And it turns out the 5/8 heater hose, if you just use a little extra force, it'll go on those 11/16 fittings. Do I recommend doing that? Of course not. I'm going to move on to installing that upper radiator hose, and then I think we'll throw some belts on, and I'll probably clean off all those timing marks, because at some point here we're going to be throwing the old timing light on here and seeing where we're at. That was easy. Okay, let's change some belts. Now, normally I would just cut these old ones off, but I don't think I'm going to do that. Just in case we're wrong. What do we need to loosen off on this power steering bump? Yeah, make sure your electrical cord is running right through the big puddle underneath the car. That's pretty good. Do I need to loosen that one and that one? Well, I guess I need to loosen up one too. Okay, you should be moving now. So I haven't come up with a name for this car yet, so you guys should help me out in the comments. The Golden Rust Hawk, the Rusty Rust Bucket. Okay, why is this pump not moving? What am I missing? Everything's loose. That pump should move. Actually, I think that pump is just at its loosest position. Somebody's just crammed a really tight belt on there, I think. Well, I guess. I didn't want to do this. Well, did I mention I'm not a mechanic? Well, let's see if that matches up to either of the new ones. That looks pretty good to me. Oh yeah, that one's good. I don't know why I can't get this pump to move. What am I missing? And incidentally, I was out here last night after work, because, you know, work is here. And I did change the fuel pump after, if you saw the couple videos ago where I got her running, and we did a couple little burnouts. Pretty sure the fuel pump went out of it right at the end there. That's why I wasn't able to get better burnout footage. Because let's face it, that's why you're watching, right? And that's why I'm doing this, because I like doing burnouts. Yep, nope, that's not going to go on there. See, that's why I didn't want to cut that belt. Okay, why can I not get that pump to move? Slotted hole right there. Now it's the one that locks it down. Yeah, looking at that now, I don't even know how that would swivel with two bolts going in there. Okay, there's another bolt way down there with another slotted hole. Okay. Now we're moving. Okay, on that fuel line down there. There we go. See, easy. No problem. Oh, look at that. She slips right on. Now, we want to tighten that up. Okay, so we have done spark plugs, cap and rotor, belts, radiator hoses, and heater hoses. So now, I think I should go rob the battery out of my 59 again. What I want to do next is fire this thing up and let her just get a little bit of heat into her. And then we'll dump the oil. And then, maybe burnouts. Yeah. So I put some fuel in this certified fuel container. So it will need a prime because I did just change fuel pump last night. Hopefully with a good fuel pump. So, she should run. It does. Come on now. Okay, well, this old girl, she just didn't quite want to run. I'm getting fuel from the fuel pump. When I do get it to fire, it's pumping out no problem. But it's not drawing properly into the carburetor, which is kind of what it was doing before. So, I do have a carb kit here for it. I was planning to rebuild the carb. I'm not going to film that because I am certainly no expert. I think I can fumble my way through it. And now it's pouring rain, so it's going to spoil going out and doing burnouts anyway. So I'm going to clean up a little bit, and then I might tinker with this carburetor tonight. But then we'll come back once I've got her running again. And actually the motor is kind of warm, so I think I'm going to dump the oil. So. All right, here we go. There it is. I think there's going to be some pretty nice looking oil in here. Well, there's definitely volume in there. Holy crap. That's a lot of oil. Yeah, look at that sucker. Somebody got their money's worth out of that one. What are the chances it's going to come loose? Oh, look at that. It wasn't even tight. I was definitely expecting a fight with that one. What is it? It's a Hastings. Oh yeah. Well, let's let that dribble for a while. Get as much of that crud out of there as we can. And clean off that housing. Alright, so I just went and pre-filled my filter and put some oil on the seal. So, yeah, I'm probably going to hear about this, but I know people have this weird thing about Fram filters. Ooh, I don't Plenty of dirt in there. But the way I look at it, they've been making oil filters for a really long time. How bad can they be? And I've used thousands of them. I've never had engine failure. I'm fussy with maintenance in all my vehicles. I like to have oil change. I always change the oil on time. Probably way more often than is actually necessary. But I've never had engine failure that I could blame on an orange oil filter. Just don't get it. That being said, this will probably be the one that bites me in the ass. I figured since we're under here, we'd have a look. We're still dribbling out of the pan there. Definitely looks like a newer starter. Now, that might be the oiliest transmission I have ever seen. Hopefully there's still oil inside it. I'll have to service that trans too. Just dump her out with fresh gear oil in it. What else we got? Transmission cross members, pretty hammered. See some holes in the floor. And we'll slide back here. So you can see this had taken a whack in the rocker at some point. I actually took a pair of vice grips and straightened out that pinch weld a bit. And that's where this brake line is leaking. So I think it got hit, and you can actually see, am I still recording? That fuel line is kind of squished too. It's not leaking, but I think I will repair that as well when I do that brake line. Yeah. Mufflers have plenty of life left in them. It's got the old school, just stubby little tailpipes coming right off the mufflers, so no tailpipes out from under the vehicle. Which, legally, your exhaust is supposed to exit the underside of the vehicle. And being that I drive a lot of heat score vehicles, I try to keep that kind of stuff on the up and up. No reason giving them a reason to pull you over. But yeah, I mean, holes in the floor, but we knew that. Other than that, I'm not seeing anything horrendous. But yeah, I think we'll go put some oil in. I think I can hear this old motor giving a sigh of relief. It's like, oh, thank you. And then I grabbed some Lucas zinc additive as well. Designed for hot rods and classic cars. Well, this just happens to be both. Okay. Well, I think we're done with that. So I think we'll just come back once I have addressed that carburetor. So it's the next day. I did go ahead and put the rebuild kit in the carburetor because, like I said, it wasn't drawing fuel. I kind of recorded some of it, just, I mean, I'm definitely not trying to show you how to rebuild a carburetor. I just thought I would kind of do it so you could see that even a guy like me who's just a little bit mechanically inclined can typically do these. They're not that bad. There's some really good videos on YouTube from guys that really know what they're doing. Oh yeah, there's the shop cat. If you don't have a shop cat, you should get one. I'm amazed this car ran. The needle and seat, the needle was so stuck in the seat, I couldn't even get it out. So how it was getting fuel before, I have no idea, but I see why it wasn't getting fuel this time. So she should run. So I'll finish this up and then, yeah, we'll see if this old girl is gonna fire up. What are you doing? So here's a thing, just to give you guys some proper information. I was just looking at the diagram. I'm going to try and figure out all these vacuum lines. And it says on here, spark plug gap, 60 thou. So holy crap, I set them at 35, so they're definitely a little tight. So, but that's okay, it'll run. We can revisit those another time. Okay, moment of truth. So, it's all tuned up. I did the quickety-quick rebuild on the carburetor. Give her a little fuel. Let's find out if I'm an engine master. Vacuum gauge, so I can't set the mixture in the vacuum properly, but we can do that later. For now, man, she's running, she's idling. I'll let it warm up and I'll set the idle a little bit. I think we'll put some air in that leaky tire and go for a rip around the yard with no brakes again. Okay guys, well, I'm gonna end that one here. So we did a tune-up, rebuilt the carburetor, got her running again. I wanted to keep it running and get some more better burnout footage for you guys, but in my haste of getting it running and just wanting to go drive it around, I didn't even think I should have thrown the timing light on it. So I think it is just a timing issue. Now that it's hot, it's just kind of really lazy turning over, doesn't want to restart. So I'm going to leave it alone for now. Next time I get it running, I'll time it properly. It actually sounds really, really good. Still some fine tuning, but the motor sounds great. So from there, next video, I hope to move on to brakes. We're going to get this thing more drivable. I'm going to get some different wheels and tires on it, and we may even get it on the road. But we'll see. Well, probably do some interior stuff too, like put some seats back in. But anyway, as always, thanks for watching. I do appreciate it. And like I said earlier in the video, if you can, you know, share the video, share this car to your social medias and stuff. See if anyone else likes to see its progress, you know, and subscribe to the channel. Like I was saying, just all you got to do is go over and click that subscribe button. It really does help me out, and I want to be able to keep this stuff coming, and maybe in the future get some more hoopties to fix up. And really, I just wanted to kind of get it out there, guys. Like, you don't have to have a perfect restored car. Man, you can get something like this. They're still out there. A little bit of time and elbow grease. I think a lot of people see these cars and think, oh man, it needs a complete restoration. Well, it does, but man, you can get it running, you can clean it up, you can make it safe and drivable and just have some fun with it. So with that, Midnight Paint and Body signing off. I hope to see you on the next one.